Welcome to the Watch Project Show, brought to you by the Watch Project Media Group. If you have ever dealt with the wild world of homeowner associations or condominium boards, you know it can get a little crazy. Each show, we're diving deep into the politics, the news, and the unbelievable stories that come out of association living. Whether you're a board member, a homeowner, or just want to learn more, we've got something for you. So, let's get into it. Now, presenting your co-hosts, Dr. Deetra Poindexter, an executive director and the founder of the Watch Project, Michael Shepard.
All right, welcome to another episode of the Watch Project. Today we're going to be talking about SB406 and the fact that it has passed the Senate, passed the House, went back to the Senate and passed the Senate again. And now we are at the stage of SB406 relating to Georgia HOA Oversight. It's sitting on Governor Kemps' desk right now. This is a huge moment. This is years and years in the making. A lot of blood, sweat, tears, a lot of parking fees that people paid to park at the Capitol. It used to be $2, now it's $15 a pop.
Too much.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that fought for this. Too many to name. They know who they are. We're actually going to have a few of those people hop on our show, but we want to open it up really quick by sharing with you guys what's been going on here in Georgia, and we're gonna show you some local media coverage of what's been going on in the great state of Georgia. The first video I was gonna be playing is a local news story by Atlanta First. So without further ado, let's go ahead and open this up. All right, here we go.
Many governments running our communities, but here in Georgia, there's no state office to check their power. Here in the last year, Atlanta News First investigator Anastasia Almos exposed the issues across the state in her series, HOA Nightmares.
Well, today, lawmakers taking their own step to rein in HOA abuse of power, crediting for reporting.
I'd like to thank the homeowners and associations for their involvement and inputs, along with Atlanta News First, Anastasia Almos, for reporting on this very important issue regarding homeowners.
Well, good thing we knew who we was talking about, our very own Anastasia. Well, that bill passed the House today. And Anastasia, you've reported this is the most comprehensive HOA oversight bill in state history.
Yes, to this date, there is no law that stops an HOA from filing to foreclose on a home in Georgia when fines exceed $2,000 for things like faded shutters or leaving a trash bin out too long. SB406, the Property Owners' Bill of Rights, cleared the House of Representatives in a 155-10 vote. It would essentially require HOAs to register with the Georgia Secretary of State for $100. If they don't register, they can't collect fines, place liens, or foreclose on a home. It raises the foreclosure threshold from $2,000 to $4,000 in unpaid dues, not fines or fees. Homeowners could file complaints with the state. The state can hold hearings to help homeowners to avoid court, and the state can deny, suspend, or revoke HOA registrations. The bill passed the Senate unanimously a few weeks ago. Members of the House Judiciary Committee spoke up for change before the vote today.
This is a good bill, takes care of a problem where there's a lot of mischief going on around the state.
It's a transparency measure. It gives due process on many different fronts. And most importantly, it avoids litigation.
Now, because the House made those changes to the bill, it will now go back to the Senate for a final vote. That will need to take place before the last day of legislative session. That's on Thursday. I'm Anastasia Almos, Atlanta News First investigates.
Anastasia, thank you. To watch HOA Nightmares investigations and share your story with us, text HOA to this number on your screen, 470-777-WANF, and keep your TV on. We are heading to a new HOA community in DeKalb County on April 1st. That's where trash is piling up, along with foreclosure filings.
All right, you heard it. So that's really good stuff. I think it's a great foundation. Obviously, there's some room for improvement. And so right now we're going to add Caroline Simmons, who is a regular at the Capitol. She's
True advocate.
Exactly. 100% agree. And then we're also going to add Shirley, who's been a regular member at the Capitol.
Yes.
And of course, it goes without saying, if somebody's on the show, they have their own HOA condo issues.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and add them to the stage and, just get their feedback on what we just saw, what they expect with the new bill. So Caroline, Shirley, welcome to the Watch Project show. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think?
I'll go since I have to get off at 7.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I expect what I've been asking for years here in the community I live, which is Crystal Lake Golf and Country Club, which is transparency, open records as to where our funds are going, and accountability, and enforcement. Compliance and enforcement of established laws is what we have not experienced here, along with similar stories with other associations. So it's nothing new. We're not alone in what we're trying to accomplish for the benefit of all.
So how long have you been living in your community?
Since 2018. And there was more transparency and communication when the developer was still here. We got monthly reports. Reports were on the community board. Bank statements were on the community board. All the governing documents from day one, from 2005, all the way up to the most recent amended and restated bylaws. All that was transparent. Whether or not anyone was looking at it, until I started asking questions, I was directed to the portal to see those documents, right? And a couple of homeowners have been able to copy those documents, right? And under the direction of this board that is in operation now, I'd say they hijacked it, because when the developer left, we were supposed to have a fair election.
Mm-hmm.
Right. He had assigned the original board members as I can't think of the word. They were supposed to be a liaison between the developer and the community, which they didn't even communicate anything. They went to the board meetings, were up to speed. So when he left out of here after the last home was built, right, we were supposed to have an election, right? Well, there were paper ballots elections that were collected at the clubhouse and then taken back to the management company to count. So
But they didn't count it in front of y'all.
No.
So let me ask you, how do you think this new legislation, SB406, would help potentially, resolve the issues that you're currently facing, that you faced in the past? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, okay, rather than going through an attorney, court records, discovery, and all of that, to get the information that we've, not just myself, other homeowners have requested open records according to what the bylaws said, that we could do that. And then it comes back denied under the direction of the board. So the board is directing the management company to deny. It's not just the board. It's the association attorney, everybody's association attorney, and the management company, and the board.
But the buck stops with the board, though. I mean,
because they tell them what to do. So, I'm, with this now going to a third disinterested party to be able to gain that information and transparency. Audit. We've asked for an audit. It should have been an audit when they took over the community, right?
Did you get one ever?
No. And now they promised one, but we still don't have one, right? So if somebody's got something to hide, right?
Yeah.
Then they're hiding it, right? So, it's just, I look at it as organized crime. Like, they have the authority to say they're going to foreclose, right? Without going through due process. And here, what I've seen them do is put liens on, there's people in this community that's got liens on their properties, and they did not get due process to get timely notice to correct the condition. But that was a way, rather than the way I see it, that was a way for them to put the liens on the property And then rather than foreclose, because it doesn't make sense to foreclose with
Especially if
somebody.
a mortgage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with mortgage, that's a priority lien. So they just put the liens on, and then sooner or later, the attorney, of course, is going to get paid off the top. So hopefully
Yeah.
this bill is eliminating and him wasting his time now to go through the process
Well,
of collecting and getting paid off the top.
well,
So
it's definitely designed to shed a light on all of what you're stating. I'm going
yeah,
to quickly go over, just some of the highlights, and feel free to add something that I may have missed.
okay.
So this is not everything, but these are some of the main points of this um, 20 or something page bill. So
Okay.
mandatory HOA registration. If an association doesn't register, then guess what? You
Mhm,
cannot fine, you can't
mhm.
issue fees, you can't foreclose. So unregistered associations lose a lot of their power. So it's not like you're going to opt out and be like, well, we're not going to participate. Those days of the renegade HOAs, POAs, co-ops. Did I say POA? POA, all of them, all of the associations, those
COA.
days are done,
Mhm.
right? And
Right.
so financial transparency and record keeping, they're now required to keep their financial records on file for 10 years to go back. And I think that's pretty huge. There's now state, what do you call it, executive branch enforcement,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
judicially the associations came to be because of the legislative branch. If you had an issue, you had to jump straight to the judicial branch, and we know that costs tens of thousands of dollars. um Everyone here has spent money on legal fees, and that's not fun, because a lot of times you can't see the light of day.
No, it's not.
um and your own money is being used against you, right?
Mhm.
You have the right to request a hearing now. So instead of, like you mentioned, not necessarily getting attorneys involved from the get-go, you now can request a hearing. So there's going to be hearing officers now. Hopefully that those people are impartial. The other thing that it does, it also will create really a track record for complaints coming in, so you can see which boards are problematic. I know Ms. Simmons is working on a dashboard that should help people track at least what at court cases, and hopefully she continues to do that in the area of future complaints coming
Right.
into this board.
That's very helpful, especially when people is moving to different communities.
No,
That's
exactly. If you're
that
looking
was
at closing on a what do you call it, a
yes,
community, you may
mhm,
go to this,
that dashboard.
yeah, and say, you know what, never mind.
Yeah.
The other thing, they're going to be able to investigate. So you mentioned discovery. So I think there'll still be an element of discovery, maybe not in a courtroom sense, but in the sense of, hey, I submitted a complaint and the hearing officer requests this information from the board. Guess what happens if they don't comply,
Mhm,
or if
mhm.
they're, being belligerent, and like a lot of them do, they could potentially lose their power to register with the Secretary of State as either an entire organization or as an individual board member. I'm completely a fan of that. The president that I had removed personally from Peyton Place, she would curse out realtors, lenders asking for closing documents. They said he was a maniac. You
Oh,
know, she didn't comply with nothing, and ultimately it led in a default judgment against her. So some of the other things that it clarifies is a homeowner bill of rights. This is something that you already have these rights, but it clarifies and codifies it. And then one of the last things I'll talk about before letting you guys jump in is the payment priority. What was happening before was associations were rejecting your payments outright
yeah.
to force you into arrears. And that's completely done. And now there is a payment priority order where your dues slash assessments, that is paid for first, then any other fees or fines you may owe, then they could pay that. But they can no longer take your assessment money, apply it to fines,
Mhm.
and keep you in arrears when it comes to your dues. And the reason that's really important is associations can no longer foreclose on you because of fines and fees, although there's somewhat of a loophole we'll talk about that's still there with specific assessments. So those are some of the things I just wanted to highlight. And like you said, Shirley, you guys are dealing with a lot, and hopefully when this, is actually law, hopefully Brian Kemp does the right thing and sign it, or if maybe he won't sign it and it still becomes law.
Right.
So a lot of people are relying on a veto in the opposition industry, I'll call it, the industry that doesn't support homeowners, and they actually support the I'm just going to call it big HOA for lack of a
Right.
better term.
So
So
Shirley, So how do some of your other neighbors in your community feel about the SB 406 being passed? Do you think we're going to see some changes in your next upcoming annual meeting or your monthly, every quarterly meeting?
Annual meeting was a joke.
Okay.
Tell me about it. Yeah, a lot of them are.
It was muted half of the way. Questions weren't answered. Our official bylaws say that there's supposed to be a monthly meeting. And of course, they're meeting, right, every month. And the official bylaws says that homeowners are supposed to be able to attend that meeting, right?
That's correct.
So, I mean, and then they changed it. They did an unofficial without 2/3 of the vote of the community to change the bylaws. So supposedly they've changed the bylaws, right? Which is, uh, I've discussed it with Michael
Right.
without putting it on the air. What's wrong
Right.
with
But
that?
Shirley, but as moving forward, now that we have this SB 406,
Yeah.
potentially going to be into law, do you foresee at the next upcoming meetings, if it's a monthly meeting or the annual meeting, that you're looking for the change, the difference?
No, I'm not looking for who's on board now to eat. They haven't even followed the existing bylaws, much less any new ones. I mean, they've gotten away with so much, right? And so there was a group of us for about 6, 8 volunteers that canvassed the neighborhood and got 464 signatures petition to remove the board. And so that didn't work. So they're planning on not going anywhere. I've been sharing it along with other homeowners on our community group with me, which has a little over 200 people, the updates about SB 406, to keep people informed and enlightened as to, what the bill is supposed to do. So it's awakening people in the neighborhood to know that law enforcement is now stepping in because it's a problem throughout the whole state.
Mm-hmm.
And so the neighborhood is awakened and the light has been turned on, right? But they're still ignoring it. And at this point, right, I don't even know if we even have a board. They're on the whole community group meeting. They don't even respond.
Well, they always say until you find out, it's going to take one to test the water. So
so I will
your
see.
community, could be somebody else. They're going to test the waters to make sure the lawmakers is actually the law is going to go into effect. And they're going to like, oh my God, yes, they passed the law. I knew that. I know they passed the bill, but they actually doing it for real. They are telling us that we got to sit down and do these things according to what the bill says. So, we're going to keep hope alive, Shirley, that as moving forward, we will see the change. And the bill wasn't
It's already
in
done.
vain.
It just needs to come into fruition. Because too many people have outspoken. And then, if the governor vetoes the bill, then, whatever. There's remedies for that, to be able, to my understanding, to come back again with 2/3 of the votes of the houses to readdress it, even with that. So anyway, we could talk about that, but let's see how this goes. I think he has 40 days, up to 40 days to sign it, or it automatically becomes it unless he vetoes it, right? But so even with that, the strategy, and I guess we could talk about that offline too. And we've talked about that already as the thought leaders as to planning how to go after that with having people to still file the help me with this, what we were talking about today, filing a with the governor's office requesting that he sign that bill. Go ahead and get over with, sign it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, thank you for joining. We know you got to run. Appreciate your words, and hopefully we'll have you again on the future to talk about the issues in Crystal Lake in particular.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley.
Talk to y'all later. Hey,
right, okay.
Bye, Deidre. Bye, Caroline.
Bye.
All right, Miss Simmons, we are left with you.
Yes, Miss Simmons.
That was a lot from Shirley. What's your take on some of the the high level overview. I just went over that. There are
Yeah,
some wins. I don't want people to think,
there are.
there isn't there are many wins. I know a lot of people were like, Michael, what are your thoughts? You haven't said anything. When this passed, I had so much going on and still do and dealing with that. But the fact that
Right.
we have that exemption that was taken on, I don't want to focus too much on, the prior versions. We want to talk about what's going on right now, but the version that they were trying to pass, where it allowed an association to exempt themselves from the payment order, that was completely crazy. And if they left that in there, I think that would have been too much for me, and I would have been advocating against this, to be honest with you. But that's just me. So,
What I think is that a
Thank
lot
you.
of these lawmakers, they do not live in HOAs. So it takes the homeowners to explain to them exactly what is going on in these communities,
Right.
how these documents actually work. Because, okay, we got the registration enforcement, we got the homeowner complaint process, foreclosure protections, payment applications, reasonable attorney's fees.
mhm.
They gave us homeowners rights.
Mm-hmm.
What's missing is the training for the boards, because the boards need to be trained. Some of
I
them
agree.
are not reading their documents. They're not reading and understanding the law.
Right.
That's where they get tripped up sometimes.
Mm-hmm. And they
So
leaning
we
on the attorneys or the property management to just spill it out to them instead of doing their own research and reading their own bylaws. Like you saying,
correct.
Mr. I totally agree with you on that. Yeah.
Then we
I think
also
training will
need
help the people that are confused before moving. I think it'll help the people that
right.
legitimately don't know, but the people that are hell bent on being corrupt, it's not going to help. And we just got to deal with those people as they arise, unfortunately.
And then that is where the complaint process comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I can't tell you and show you where you're going wrong, perhaps the law can. Perhaps
Exactly.
someone at the Secretary of State can put you in the right direction. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
times the boards don't want to listen to the homeowners
Mm-mm.
because they feel as though it's a combative situation. It's not. We're all trying to look out for our communities. We may be doing it a different way, but we have a set of rules, regulations, and laws that need to be followed. And if we're not going to follow them, there's an amendment process. Follow the amendment process.
Exactly.
But then we have election and voting.
Mm-hmm.
Those also need to be standardized across the board.
100% agreed.
Because, okay, in the state of Georgia, for the most part, we all vote exactly the same when we vote for county, state, local, it's all the same. But each community is voting differently. If it's standardized, no matter what community I move to, I know how that election and voting process is going to go.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
There needs to be a way to track all of that as well from the Secretary of State standpoint. It needs to be a neutral third party looking at all of that. Right now, the same board who is getting voted out
Mhm.
is now in a position to say, that didn't happen. You didn't meet quorum. Oh no, you
Yep.
didn't get enough
Mm-hmm.
votes.
And
Right.
we know that
Oh,
happens.
we get to decide. It happened in my community and it's continuing to happen.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I want to add on to
those are
that.
the things that I'd like to see.
Yeah. I don't know if you feel the way I do when it comes to what I'm about to say, but
Mhm.
I want to go further. I want to go Pennsylvania when it comes to the elections. The state of Pennsylvania, to my knowledge, is one of probably the only or one of the few states that will treat an association election fraud as if it's an election for the local mayor's office or the county
Mm.
commissioner. They are
Correct.
arresting people. I'm not going to say left and right, but they do make regular arrests for any reported and proven association election fraud. I would love to see the state of Georgia prosecute people for association election fraud the same way they do for other election fraud. We've been in the news nationwide, probably the number one state, being looked at when it comes to election integrity. Whether,
Right.
whether it's coming from the left, right, Democrat, Republican, the fact is Georgia is number one when they look at it from a state level when it comes to election integrity. And so, like I said, I would really like to see a blatant case of HOA election fraud prosecuted. I really would. And we don't have to pass any law. All we have to do is codify in this that, hey, if you are proven to commit election fraud and the Secretary of State hearing officer sees clear evidence of that, they need to make a referral to, whatever the appropriate prosecuting authority is. And then I think it'll stop a lot of that. It'll stop a lot of that.
Oh, I think it will too. And
Yeah.
it will stop them and also make them feel like I don't even think I want to volunteer no more because
Good.
and that is good.
Yeah.
That is good because you think twice.
Yeah.
I mean,
Community.
if you go in the store and you steal a candy bar, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's still bad, right? No matter if it's
Yeah.
50 cents.
Yeah.
So you're gonna
Yeah.
be on the board and you're gonna take some people money. You ain't taking 50 cents. You're taking thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's people that, the Community Associations Institute, they said, oh my gosh, this law, if it passes, the gates of hell are opening and people won't volunteer. It's already tough. I'm sorry. You got the right to take somebody's home. You need, like Caroline stated, you need to be educated on what it is you're doing, and you need to be held accountable. If their claim is accurate that people won't want to be on the board because of this, it actually probably to a degree is accurate, because you're going to have these people looking for a lick or a come up on the backs of their neighbors.
Right.
They won't want to volunteer. It's going to be too much heat. It's going to be too much oversight. And good. Yes, I hope there's a lot less people willing to volunteer because of this law. Those aren't the people we want running an association. Like I'm on a board now, so I love that they can't say Michael Shepard is an angry property owner. No, I won my case. I don't have to be here. I could be like, deuces, but I'm here because it's the right thing to do. And two, I don't like bullies, and I need to show that, hey, there are people who actually are on a board, and this group is not speaking for me as a board member. There's a lot of board members who came to the Capitol, and there's a lot of them who are former, like
Right.
Caroline, you were on a board. You've served, I believe, every position that there is to be on the board in your communities. You support this. And so this whole thing about homeowner versus board, I don't think that's what this bill is. It's actually integrity versus no integrity. That's my opinion. Because when I hear the people that oppose this, when you really ask them follow-up questions about why they oppose this, they say, well, our community is great. Then what is the issue?
Right.
Right.
You have no
Right.
words. Keep being great. Keep being great.
And sometimes there is a bill where it has great intentions and it has a negative effect or unintended effect. I'm open to hearing that. Let's hear it. Because I know that there were certain parts of the bill that I didn't like that I thought could be harmful. I stated that. But the people who I believe have nefarious intentions, they don't want to see this go through. And when you ask them why, they say, oh, it's bad. Well, tell me what's bad about it. They can't defend themselves. So
Ms. Simmons, I need to ask a question. So during this process, you've been on the board and then also on the other side of trying to get the board to understand, to reasoning, that you decided to come up with a database and developing a dashboard to show the different type of traits of associations or communities in the state of Georgia.
So it started as a purely selfish endeavor. There were too many bills and too many different laws and too many different cases for me to track alone. So I utilized our newest tool called AI to build a back end to a website that goes out and does the hunting for me, brings me the information back, and all I have to do is weed through it and rearrange it.
Awesome.
While
So how far have you
SB406
gotten with this data?
Oh, I've gotten far. Now it's just a matter of refining it so that it is available. Georgia is my hotspot because that is where I live. However, from posting on Facebook, Nextdoor, I have gotten phone calls from people in other states. Can you help us do what you guys did in Georgia? And I told them, we can help you, but I don't know anything about Massachusetts.
Right.
But we can learn, and we can help you figure out how to make this happen in Massachusetts. But it's going to have to be a collective thing.
Mm-hmm.
One homeowner cannot do what all of us did collectively. And
Yeah.
it wasn't just the people who went to the Capitol. There were people who couldn't leave work but made phone calls and sent emails.
They definitely did,
That's what
especially
needs
from
to be
every
done
corner of our
across
state.
the board.
Yep.
Right. People who don't live in HOAs sent emails and made phone calls because it affects them as well.
Yes.
Their home values will go down if something goes down in these HOAs.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point because a lot of times people not understanding it affects you if you're in a HOA community or you're not.
Correct.
And everything. And I don't think a lot of people see that view of it. They're just saying, hey, my property value, my property value. Well, it's not too much value to you if you going around and nitpicking everything that I do. I don't see the value of that. You doing so, then people gonna move out. They don't want to be in that community. And if they don't want to be in that community, they quite sure don't want to be in that county. So then the county don't understand too. It's a domino effect. And if people leave in your county, they're taking away the revenue that that county needs to keep thriving. So if you don't come to some kind of minimum to work together, you're not going to have a very value of a house when your county is listed as a county not to move into.
Yeah. You
Right.
guys mentioned, I actually want to play something really quick. It's from State Senator Nan Ork, I believe. Hopefully I'm not butchering her name. She had reached out to me, said that she completely supports, some of the amendments that was put forth by myself. Unfortunately, that didn't see the light of day in the finished product of the bill. But we talk about people who aren't in HOAs, but they see the abuse going on, and they have to step up and speak. I'm gonna go ahead and share a quick. She got up on the Senate floor during the floor debate, and what she stated, I told you all of this, like, it was the most touching words I've ever seen at the Georgia State Capitol in the 3 years that I've been going. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull it up really quick. Let me see here. I'm gonna go ahead and share that. Um, I'm not sure if you saw this, Caroline, but if you did, you're gonna see it again. I think a lot of people need to see this and hear her words on this issue. Here we go.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I rise in support of this bill, and I really want to thank and appreciate the efforts of the senator from the 28th who has worked for, I've lost track of the years of the effort that she has put in on getting some decent regulation and oversight of these HOAs. So I want to open with that and thank her heartily. And she's worked with constituents from my district who had issues. And it's not only homeowners, it's also condominium owners in buildings. There's rampant abuse of people from bad actors in this world of the HOAs. In a building that I've represented for as long as I've, both from the Senate and as a House member, there has been a takeover of the HOAs where they want to turn it into a moneymaker. You all have all heard of the big frog in the little pond. You will see that phenomenon occurring in the world of the HOAs, drunk with power and also trying to figure out ways to monetize the power that they have in the HOA. I mean, buying up all the parking spaces and then saying people that own condos in the building, you've got to pay me to park your car here. They're unbelievable stories out here. We could go on with the hour is late. We've got a long I won't, and I own a home and there's no HOA around me, so I'm not personally affected, but I have heard and loud and clear the complaints from people who've been absolutely victimized by folks that see the HOA as a place to get in and be a leader and start monetizing the situation and violating people's rights. So we're way over time in moving into regulating these abuses, and it's an important bill. I'll agree with the other comments of those who have taken the well on this, but I wanted to share what my experience has been and recognize the leadership of the senator from the 28th, who's been a stalwart on this for some years now. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator.
Yeah. Kudos for her. Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, let me go ahead and close this out. But Caroline, did you hear and see that?
I did.
Wow.
And I saw
can you
it.
tell me?
I did not see it when she saw it, when she said it, but I've heard her say it before.
Mm-hmm.
And she is so truthful about these HOAs wanting to become profitable.
Yes.
They are listed as nonprofits, but in my community, our board has said it needs to be run as a business and we need to be making a profit. But what I don't think they think about is you're making the profit on the backs of the people that you're supposed to be helping with your nonprofit. The same thing she talked about wanting people to pay for the parking spots. I live in a condo. We have a parking lot. Our board, instead of raising the dues, are nickel and diming and saying, oh no, we're going to charge you $135 to be able to park your car in the parking lot. Just raise the dues. Just raise the dues.
That's crazy.
Outline what our expenditures are and explain to people why our dues need to go from $224.67 to $250 or from $250 to $400 for a period of time. Excuse me, so that we can afford to continue to live here.
That's
My
right.
community, I found out today, we owe $718,000 to the cab water.
Wait, can I get that number one more time?
It is $718,000 to the cab water.
I wasn't trying to be funny. Like that's
it's
crazy.
astronomical. I know.
At any place we owe 12,000. So I don't know if I don't feel better, but that's crazy.
Right.
Let me ask you, because we're almost at time.
Yeah.
We're gonna have you come back, Caroline, and go over this. But I'm gonna say, from scale 1 to 10, are you guys at risk at getting your water shut off from the cab potentially?
We would have no idea because the board will not talk to us about it. The last thing we were told was that an agreement had been made with the cab to pay $5,000 a month. But we have no documentation of that, and they won't allow us to speak with the cab. So it becomes a matter of put your trust in the people who are trying to rake you over the coals.
I'll just leave you with this. I do know another board member who had a deal with the Cap County, basically like a payment plan to catch up on water. Their property management company dropped the ball because they were in control of the association finances, didn't make the payments, and then instead of making the agreed upon monthly payments with the DeKalb Water Authority, they said, you know what, we want the whole thing right now, and threatened to shut it off. So with that being stated, I will definitely get you in touch with that board member, but we definitely want to have you come back and talk about, you know, your specific situation at your condos, because condos, there's a HOA, POA issues, but with condos, it's so much more intimate because in an HOA, POA, you normally, for all intent purposes, you're generally not at risk at getting your light shut off because of your neighbor. You're not at risk at getting your water shut off because of your neighbor. And generally speaking, you're not at risk at having the exterior, because once again, a condo, it's the responsibility of the association. If your house is messed up, you can generally deal with that yourself. Granted, you have to deal with the architectural committee and, you know, getting the original shingles and all of that stuff. But, you know, you can generally deal with that versus a condominium, especially if it's a high rise. like you're in. Technically, I think it's a low rise, but after 2 stories and you have people on top of you, it gets complicated if something happens to the exterior. So thanks again for coming on, Shirley
Real
and
quick,
Caroline, and we'll
Yes,
definitely
real quick
thank
organize a
before
time for you
we
you.
to come
go,
on.
Way to leave us
real
with a
quick
bomb.
before we go.
Drop us like we hot.
What's your website?
Oh, it's called wethehomeowner.org. But
All right.
Homeowners.gov.
before we go, I want to
Yes,
thank the 2 of you for having this show, for giving people a voice when they feel like they don't have one, giving them some place that they can go and get
yeah,
information
for
is
sure.
invaluable. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right. We will see you guys on the next one. We covered a lot and we'll be covering a lot more. Take care and have a good one.
Bye.